Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to our Bachelor in Paradise Live. Kendall has finally left the beach. We have two new hunks, Damar and Ed, who've entered the chat. And of course, an explosive fight between Aaron and Ivan sent the whole beach in waves. There was also a tornado. We have so much to discuss. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined today by the lovely Fiona Zaring and the sassy Gianna Gravelisi. Fiona, how are you doing? What did you think of last night's episode?
Being totally honest, I was a little bored during last night's episode. There were some key moments that I thought were wild and enjoyed, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on it, you guys, because it wasn't my favorite this season. What about you, Gianna?
Ooh.
I completely agree with you. Like, blah, no drama. That storm was so underwhelming. They really revved it up in the trailers, and now it really just didn't hit for me. And I was on my phone the entire time, to be completely honest with you guys. It was one of those, like, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm scrolling and looking up once in a while. Nothing was catching my attention last night.
Nothing. I mean, there was a lot going on. I mean, but like, you know what? It's because Demi left the beach. That is the reason why. Because Demi is gone
Yes.
and everyone's just happy in love. They tried to throw a little Tajnado in, to the beach. Tia almost lost her life. But I mean, there's still a lot that we have to discuss. A lot did happen. And before we get into the episode, I want to remind everyone to subscribe and ring the bell. Give this video a thumbs up and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. And before we even get into the episode, we do have to talk about the fact we have Bachelor breaking news. Brendan and Piper have unfollowed each other on Instagram. Piper even took to her Instagram. She posted a picture today with the caption, "A singularity." And we were trying to debate what that meant before we came on here. Gianna, what are your thoughts on this? Is Piper confirming she's single now?
I mean, I saw this coming from miles away. There was no way these two were staying together and could make their relationship work amid everything that they were going through. These two were in the spotlight. I can't believe we're even talking about them still, but this is huge news. Like I was going to say to you, Zach, I'm so excited that Brendan and Piper aren't even a topic of conversation anymore, but here we are. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, they were enduring a lot of hardship that they brought upon themselves. And I just think that was way too overwhelming for the both of them in order to make the relationship work. That Instagram caption, Piper is usually hitting us with all the creative captions. She's usually sassy. And I mean, a singularity obviously means one thing, and I think she's alluding to herself. I don't know. It's really obvious, and the fact that they unfollowed each other, come on. But Fiona, what do you make of that caption that she posted?
I'm totally with you. I feel like she's describing herself like people would say like a queen, right? Or an individual. And she's saying a singularity, which to me just feels like a much snappier version of saying like a solo entity. I am myself. Here I am. But I'm with you, Gianna. I feel like I did see this coming, and it does kind of make me sad because I still feel like there are 110,000 ways that them going to paradise could have played out, and it didn't have to be the way it was. They made a lot of mistakes. They said a lot of things they shouldn't have. They hurt a lot of people, but if they had just gone a different route, maybe they would be happily in love right now because clearly they had a connection that they thought was worth fighting for. So that's as much sympathy as I can give them. I hope that they really learn from their mistakes. And who knows? We've seen crazier things happen. I wouldn't be surprised if once the dust settles a little bit, Piper either ends up with somebody else in Bachelor Nation. Maybe Brendan gets redemption someday. Who knows?
See, I'm actually surprised. I thought that they would make it work for 4 months, maybe 6 months, especially because they are getting so much backlash. So I thought they would last a little bit longer. Maybe Piper realized that she was losing all of her followers from being with Brendan, all the followers that she bought. So maybe she thought that it would be better for her to just become a singularity. So I'm shocked that she I really thought they would last a little bit longer. We obviously still don't know if there's going to be a Bachelor in Paradise reunion or not. We're still waiting to hear Brendan and Piper kind of put in the hot seat. So I'm looking forward to that if we ever get that with a reunion or a podcast to hear their sides of the story. But Brendan's apology really showed that lack of apology, I'll put that in quotation marks, really showed like who he is and that he has not changed or learned or grew from the experience, even after seeing it on TV. And he almost dissed Piper in his video explanation as well, when he was like, well, if I wanted to date Piper, if I wanted to get followers, I would have went for someone else besides Piper. Like, that's literally what he said. So maybe she saw that and realized that he kind of isn't changing, and maybe she wants more for herself. Like, maybe Piper wants something better for herself. You really don't know, but either way, they're probably done. Gianna, do we think they're definitely done because they unfollowed each other, or could this be a PR move?
Oof. I mean, I feel like they've had enough PR moves. Like they went on Paradise, they did what they did, they made the mistakes, as you said, Fiona. And I really think that their reign is now coming to an end. The fact that they unfollowed each other, I think that's a sign that it means it was a pretty serious breakup. And I also want to mention, I said a while ago in one of our videos, I think that they were in a situationship before they went to Paradise. You know, I think Brendan wanted to have his cake and eat it too type of thing. You know, he was seeing Piper. God only knows, you know, if they were exclusive or not. It didn't really seem like it in the moment. And, you know, they kept saying they were just friends. They're not just friends. I think Piper was on a way different page than Brendan. Like, I think she really wanted to be with him and he kind of just wanted whatever he wanted to do. And that already sets the tone for a poor relationship or just no relationship. So I think going on Paradise was a huge mistake. And I think honestly, Piper is now realizing like she kind of, I mean, I've been in a situationship before. It's kind of like you get manipulated in a sense. And then Brendan's lack thereof apology kind of really showed what kind of a person he is. I think he would be super manipulative to put her in a bad position, but she also needs to take some blame. She did do it to herself, but I hope she realizes her mistakes and can kind of grow from it and not continue to be that mean girl that we're all not liking right now. So maybe this new singularity era will really bring out the good in Piper. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh my God.
We'll see.
Maybe this is the era of Piper. Like, maybe this is her future. Who knows? Maybe we'll see her on the beach next year. I don't know, but they're probably not together anymore if they unfollowed each other. But it is going to be interesting to hear what happens when it all plays out. But we got to get into this episode because a lot did go down, and we have to start off with Kendall, who turned down a kiss from Ivan after watching Serena and Joe fall in love. Kendall wanted to talk to grocery store Joe. She wanted to share her feelings, see where they stand. I think she wanted to have like that one last conversation. And after that conversation, Kendall realized that Joe was in love with someone else. I think it took her like a long time to realize that. And she ultimately decided to leave the beach. Now, Joe obviously did console her. He was a good friend. I think he was a great guy. He didn't want to see her hurting, but I think he also was like, girl, get out of here. And Serena on the sidelines, they probably didn't show up, but she was like, thank God. So Kendall finally left the beach. Fiona, smart decision for Kendall to leave? Do you think she should have gave it a shot? There was new guys coming in. I mean, she did have the power this week.
I think that Kendall definitely made the right decision because at the end of the day, I think that Kendall got a call from producers. They said, Joe is going to be on the beach. You know, he might find love. Are you sure this chapter is closed? Do you want to come join? And she probably took that as, I'm going to go to the beach and maybe rekindle things with Joe, right? That was never a secret. She pulled him aside right when she got there, and he didn't give her the open door that I think she was looking for. And I feel like she stuck around long enough to see, like, is this actually going to stick with this other girl, or will we find our way back to each other? I don't think she stuck around thinking deep down that she was going to be able to fall in love and start a new connection right there under Joe's nose. So I do think it was the right decision for her to leave. She was hurting herself by continuing to be there. It certainly wasn't going to be easy to potentially see Joe, you know, get engaged to Serena, right? It's not like that's not on the table. So I think it was the right choice. I do feel bad for Ivan. We never really saw their connection develop. I feel like it was just kind of thrown into our laps. But I do feel bad for Ivan now, right? Because he kind of took a gamble and gave her the rose, and now obviously we saw him scrambling this week. Where is he getting a rose from? But I still
gave his
overall,
rose to Deandra.
Yes, I agree 100%. So I mean, the only reason I would have told her to stay, right, would be to like toss Ivan at least a rose so he doesn't get screwed over in the process. But for her, definitely the right choice to get out of there. It was not going to end well.
Gianna, we were going off about this last week. We have been frustrated with Kendall for a long time. She's finally left the beach. Do you think that she is over Joe officially now? Is that what it took? And I mean, girl Kendall, like, what is the future for her?
It's hard to say because clearly her coming to the beach, I agree with you, Fiona. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I would bet $1 million if I had it that the producers called her and were like, Joe is going to be on the beach and he is single and he misses you and he loves you. That's what they do behind closed doors. I mean, I can't think of Kendall. We know that she's been indecisive. She hasn't really known what she wanted. So I really can't see her going on to the beach being like, I miss Joe and I'm gonna get him on the beach. It's where we met, blah, blah, blah. I really think it was a producer driven move. And clearly she was still in love with him and still had those feelings. I mean, she even said it was her strongest relationship she's ever had. And those take a long time to get over. So I don't know if she's over it completely at this point, but I really do think that conversation she had with Joe, and even unfortunately having to see him and Serena, kissing and being so cute on the beach, that was definitely the door that needed to be shut for her in order to help her get over it. Because again, although it was probably so heartbreaking for her to have to go through that and see that, I think it was like a boost into like, you know what, he's moved on and it's time for me to move on. So I think Kendall will finally move on. I don't know if she'll even dabble back in Bachelor Nation. I don't think we'll see her on the beach ever again or on any other show or spinoff or anything, because this was enough for her. So hopefully she can learn how to move on and maybe find someone else that's not from Bachelor Nation.
Yeah, I'm just so happy she's gone. I think it was time. I think that she was throwing herself a pity party for too long. I understand that like the emotions and the feelings got brought back up when you were in Paradise where you and Joe met, but I mean, she really was just milking that the entire time from what we saw, and she just didn't give any guys a chance because there was plenty of other hunks on the beach that she could have dated. So sayonara, Kendall, and I'm just glad she's gone. I'm sorry. Like, I really do like her though. I'm just so glad she's gone. So bye.
Yeah.
But there are some new guys on the beach that Kendall could have gave a chance to. Two new hunks have entered the beach, Ed and Damar. Now, they were both from Tayshia and Claire's season, and Ed is most notably known for his infamous banter with Chris Harrison. There was that one scene where he thought he was going to Tayshia's room. He ended up in Chris Harrison's room, and that would have been a funny dynamic had Chris Harrison been in Bachelor in Paradise. And then Damar, who is most notably known for defending Chasen at the Men Tell All because Chasen was not there. So Damar was defending Chasen's honor. So that's just what Damar is most known for. But the two of them came on the beach. They looked so hot. It was a dramatic kind of slow motion entrance with their shirts off. And Damar really wanted to take Marissa on a date, and Marissa was Damar's number one on her list just because of the fact that Damar is Damar. She was really excited to see him. However, Marissa ended up turning down the date with Damar because of her strong relationship with Riley. So, Gianna, thoughts on Damar and Ed showing up on the beach, and do you think that Marissa maybe should have took up that date?
I mean, first of all, they are both so hot. I mean, look at the body. I can't even take it. Like them, when they did that slow-mo of them both running, I was melting. I'm just like, I would be blessed to have both of them, like either of them, seriously, if I were on
Boom,
that
boom,
show.
room.
But for Marissa's case, I mean, I think she kind of made a smart decision staying with Riley in the sense that, if she went on that date with Damar, what if it didn't work out with him? And then Riley being Riley, I feel as though he would have kind of been angry or hurt that the fact that she even went, because they do have such a strong relationship. I mean, they do have their hardships as we then saw throughout the episode, but I mean, they're one of the strongest couples on the beach. So I just could not see her kind of throwing that away just to go on a date and explore with this new guy that she really, I mean, although he was her number one in the beginning, it's like she's met Riley and she's falling for him, as she then said later in the episode. So I think that's a real sign of true love. Like, she's in this for Riley. She's in this to find love with Riley and not just mess around and be dating around on the beach. I think maybe in the beginning, if Damar showed up earlier, she definitely would have taken the opportunity. But I think right
True.
now it was smart of her because, she wants love. She's going to get love with Riley, I believe. So I think Damar would have
Yeah.
completely thrown her in the wrong direction.
And Riley, like, I feel like he has a little bit of a temper. He's kind of shown that a few times this season. He's yelling at Chris. He's yelling, next week in the preview. I mean, Riley's just not someone you want to mess with. So I think she made the right decision. And obviously, we're going to get more into their romantic connection. But Fiona, I want to ask you about Ed, because Ed came in. I don't know how much you remember about him from Claire and Tayshia's season, but he asked Natasha on a date. And Gianna, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have to bring up Brendan again. When I asked Fiona this question, do we think that Natasha is finally moving on from Brendan? Because now she's been on a date with Dr. Joe. Now she's been on a date with Ed. Natasha has become the Bachelorette of Paradise.
She really has. I mean, listen, the good news is I don't think Ed and Brendan had a close relationship on Tayshia's season, and I don't think they've had a close relationship post-show. So Brendan, hopefully, is not going to form a dark cloud over this blossoming connection. I have to say, I don't even really remember why, right? So he can totally win me over. But what I do remember is that I didn't love Ed during Tayshia and Claire's season. I don't think I thought he was a bad guy. I think he just kind of bugged me, and that feeling is sort of lingering. But I didn't really mind him last night, so I hope that he ends up being this great guy who has a personality that we didn't get to see a bunch of sides of during Tayshia's season, and that this really works out for Natasha, because literally all I care about at this point is she has a good rest of her time on the beach. I don't care if it doesn't end up in love, right? She's nearing the end here. We just need to bounce this vacation back for Natasha and give her a clean slate and let her try again if need be. Let her be the Bachelorette. She's so great. She's so beautiful. And she seemed like she really had a good time with Ed, right? So at least she seems like she had fun. And she seems excited. She does. She definitely seems like she's ready to be flirty and excited and playful again. She seemed a little less reserved in this date than on her one with Dr. Joe, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, justice for Natasha always and forever. We're going to be saying that until the finale and forever more after. Justice for Natasha. They ended up doing a painting double date where they painted each other, which I think is really fun, but painting is so hard. Like, I would not know how to paint, but look how proud Natasha is of her painting. I think she did a really good job, but is that supposed to be Ed, Gianna? Like, what do you think that is? The beach? Is that the sand? Yeah, that looks like the beach.
Yeah,
sand,
it
the
looks
water.
like beach from like a
I feel like I
bird's
remember
eye
it being
view.
his body. Don't you?
was
Didn't
it?
That
she
was the
present
other
it to him
painting.
as like,
Yeah, she painted a couple
I
different things. I mean, paint me like one of your
Again,
French girls.
I was honestly on my phone, especially during this date. I'm not.
Gianna, you
even
have
gonna
one
lie.
job.
I know. I was doing the whole eyeball thing, but I don't know what this painting is. To me, right now, it looks like the beach from a bird's eye view. Is anyone else seeing this?
Exactly.
Anybody?
yeah,
It actually
sure.
looks like the beach. It looks like the beach before the Tajnado took over the
Ooh.
beach, or maybe during the Tajnado. But I didn't want to insult her painting because justice for Natasha, obviously. Fiona, are you a good painter? Would you have been able to paint Ed or Damar?
No, I would have done something silly and like tried to make the most of this date, but they love a good artistic date. They love a good like boxing, wrestling date, and now they're really into food play. I mean, I think you just have to make the most of these situations that producers can set up for you. And I mean, in these last few seasons, right, they're not traveling the world. I feel like it's a lot more of like activity driven dates. Of course, Paradise, they're in one location. They got to get creative here too. So I think that it's just like how you take it, and it doesn't matter if the painting's good. It just matters if you use the time wisely, because it's really all about the time if you think about it.
Yeah, and I think a painting date is fun. I mean, it's hard to paint, so it's like a fun activity. So it looks like they had a good double date. I like the double dates. They're a lot more fun and lighthearted. But we have to interrupt this Paradise recap because there has been new clips, teasers, I was going to say both at the same time, of Michelle's season of The Bachelorette that have just dropped the other day, and we have to talk about them because there might be a familiar face. Because we all know, rumor has it that this guy Clayton is going to be the next Bachelor. It's not confirmed yet, but there are some new clips of the teaser that we need to discuss for Michelle's season of The Bachelorette, which will be airing October 19th. So it's just a few weeks away, and there's only 2 more episodes of Paradise, guys. So we're not going to have much of a break between Paradise and Michelle's season. Gianna, how ready are you for Michelle's season as we get these clips pulled up?
Oh, I am so ready. I definitely will not be on my phone during Michelle's season. I absolutely can't
Thank
wait to
God.
see what goes down. I love the drama already because we think we already know who the next Bachelor is. So I'm excited to see how that plays out because I know the wheels in my head will be turning every time we see his face come on camera. And of course, I'm excited to meet a batch of new guys. I'm excited to kind of go through the guys. Zach, once again, I feel like we were just doing it on a live for Katie's season, and you and I were claiming our men. We were making assumptions about our men. You too, Fiona. We were all kind of speculating. So I'm really looking forward to meeting a whole new batch of guys. And I mean, Michelle looks unbelievable in the promos we've already been seeing so far. And she's so sweet. I really hope the best for her, and I'm excited to see her find love.
Me too. And I really do think she's going to find love this season. Probably not with Clayton, but with somebody else. There's some really eligible men. So we're going to play this first clip and then we are going to react. Michelle is a baller. Let's hit it.
I'm Michelle, and I'm your new Bachelorette.
Tuesday, October 19th,
Your whole life is about to change.
Michelle's journey begins.
Future looks bright. I've never been.
Oh, I love this song. They're really giving her a good budget. Definitely different from Katie's season. What do you think are the biggest differences we're going to see on Michelle's season than Katie's season, Fiona?
Well, I really just think, and I don't know if this is like a cop-out answer, right? But they're both incredible women, but I think they're very different. I think their personalities are going to be what is the biggest stark difference, right? Because she's going to have a semi-bubbled season. I know they switched locations, but I think we're going to see a lot of creative dates, a lot of creative, one-on-one time. But she's just going to have a different approach. I think she's going to be like a different type of flirter, if that makes sense. Like the way she tries to win the guys over, the way they interact with her, I just think it's going to be a very different tone than with Katie. Both great, but very different.
And I also think we're going to get a step up in the wardrobe department. And y'all know I love Katie, but Michelle, she has been killing it so far in all of these promo pictures. This dress is so sparkly. She looks beautiful. Gianna, are you happy that Caitlyn and Tayshia are back to host this season?
I am so happy that they're back, and I'm so glad that you asked that because I know it was speculation for a while if they would come back or not. And to see them together again, I am hoping that Caitlyn kind of takes more reins in a sense because I feel like throughout Katie's season, Tayshia was really the only one talking. They'd both come out and Tayshia would be the only one to speak and say, this is the final rose. And then they'd both back away. And I'm just like, why are there two if only one's going to be talking? And we love Caitlyn. She's so funny. So I really hope we see more of her personality. Maybe she took some notes from Katie's season, but I loved the three women dynamic between them and Katie last season. So I'm really hoping, we're going to definitely see it again with Michelle in a different way. Like I said, I compared it to three best friends, at dinner, like one just came back from a date and she's filling in her other girlfriends. And I just love seeing that dynamic. It's so different from when we had Chris Harrison. Everyone adds their own flavor as a host. And I just love these two together. So I'm so happy that they're back.
Yes. I mean, there's no denying Caitlyn has an enormous, amazing personality. I think that she just has to channel it a little bit because the season's all about Michelle and Caitlyn could easily take over a room if she wanted to. So I think that's why she kind of channels her huge personality. But I do want to see more of her. And maybe now that we have seen Caitlyn and Tayshia in this role before, maybe they will be allowed to showcase their personalities a little bit more than last season. It was kind of weird to see Caitlyn so reserved last season. So I'm excited to see what happens. But let's take a look at our next clip to see what else is going to go down on Michelle's night one.
Kissing up to this teacher
I used to be a student.
It's like you already got me by the balls.
could put you at the head of the class.
I'm not gonna settle. Those 30.
Ooh, 30 men, Tayshia was about to say. But we had a shot of Clayton. We have to talk about him. Fiona, we see him, and did you hear what he said? He says, I used to be a student. What do you think he means by that?
I think he is doing, right, this is clearly his limo entrance here. So I feel like he's doing some sort of corny, maybe it's like a poem or something, right, about how she's a teacher and he used to be a student. And maybe he's ready to be a student again so we can learn all about love from Michelle. I don't know. It seemed to me like there was a cheesy line coming somewhere in there. But he is handsome. He's very tall. that was like what stood out to me the most about him upon our first little glimpse here. He's very tall.
Very tall. This reminded me of, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but on Rachel Lindsay's season, she had a guy come out of the limo. And it was a guy that she actually went to elementary school with. However, when they were in elementary school, Rachel Lindsay was like in 5th grade, and this guy was literally in kindergarten. So there was a huge age difference. But this guy, and I forgot his name, but it was just a weird dynamic because Rachel could have babysat him at the time, and then he was like pursuing her, and then she ended up sending him home like on a date, like not even like a group date, not even at a rose ceremony. But that is very much what I'm getting, because I'm kind of confused. Do they know each other? Because I know that Clayton, he went to school in Missouri, or Missouri. I've been corrected. It's Missouri, not Missouri. So I don't know if maybe there's some connection because she's from Minnesota. Do we think that's going to help Clayton's chances of going farther, Gianna?
Oh, I mean, you are just hitting me with that tea. I did not know that. So,
Spilling it, Gianna. Spilling it.
always spilling the tea. If that is the case, I don't know if that would necessarily help him go further. I think that that's a great conversation starter and a great foundation for them to have in building their relationship, because it's something similar that they can talk about that will then lead to, oh, like I used to go to this place growing up, and they'll know the town. So I think that it'll help him in the beginning steps of building his relationship with Michelle, rather than the other men that have to kind of force a conversation. This will help them get into more of a natural routine, I guess. But yeah, I guess that could help his chances in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that Missouri and Minnesota are not the same place. So I just want to make that clear because they just sound alike. And I feel like people who grew up like on the West Coast and East Coast think they're the same state, because I swear to God, I thought that for a second. But I know that they are different. So I just think that there's a connection. They're both Midwest people. But we do have another clip of Michelle's trailer teaser. So let's take a look. Let's hit it. 30 men. Wow.
Are all here for you. Slam dunk.
The Bachelorette season premiere, Tuesday, October 19th on ABC.
Oh, she looks so good. What are we ranking this first, like, 20-second teaser, I guess we have, Fiona? How good do we think this season is going to line up?
Oh, I think it's going to be incredible. First of all, I have been saying this since we got that little moment. It was like a post-credit clip where she did the push-ups or something on Matt James's season. I think Michelle has such a fun personality. I think she's really, really funny. I feel like she's a slightly dry sense of humor. She's very, very smart. She's athletic. Like, I think she's going to check all the boxes, right? She's going to be making us laugh. She's going to be making us think, you know, warming our hearts and like keeping us on our toes. I just think she's going to be a really cute bachelorette. I'm so excited, truly.
Yes. Well, Michelle's season premieres October 19th, so you guys are going to have to come back here at Shared News. We're going to be dishing about it all season long, and it's so, so exciting. But we do have to get back to our Paradise recap because there is still so much that went down, and there's so many shenanigans that are going to happen next week that we need to dive into and discuss. So let's pick things back up with Marissa and Riley, because Marissa was explaining, she was expressing concerns all episode long about how Riley was not being super open with her. He was kind of guarded, and it turns out that Riley was actually really guarded because he has had some difficulty in his past with his family, most notably his father. So they were able to have that heart-to-heart conversation, and they even revealed that they're falling in love with each other after that, which is so exciting. Gianna, do we think that Riley and Marissa are going to go the distance?
I really can see them going the distance. As I mentioned before, it's not just because I'm biased, because I am obsessed with the two of them. I just really like the vibe of their relationship. Like, at first I didn't like Riley as a person at all, but when he's with Marissa, like, he's a different person. I feel like he's more laid back and he's more himself, although, you know, the laid back kind of turned into being reserved. It was nice and, I mean, sad to see him open up about why he is the way that he is. But I think that that was a really serious and important conversation, probably like the most serious conversation that's been had thus far on Paradise. And I think that that means they're getting really deep into their relationship. Because if you think about it, guys, again, we always have to remind ourselves, like, this is a reality TV show. Like, think about it. Like, you meet someone on the beach and it's great. And then you go home, you're in different states, this, that, the other thing. Like, we don't really see those serious moments. But the fact that this happened last night, and then even afterward, they said that they were falling in love with each other, I'm like, I love them. And I really have a good feeling about them. I hope, fingers crossed. We'll see.
I really like Marissa more and more every single episode. I feel like she's so real and authentic, and I think that she brings that out of Riley because he is so guarded and so reserved, and the fact that he's able to like let down his walls for Marissa really shows that they are on the same page. But I feel like Riley also, he kind of gets in the drama a little bit. He has a little bit of a temper. Do you think that they will be able to make things work like after the show, Fiona? Because I know she lives in Montana. I'm not sure where Riley lives, but I mean, do we think that they have the potential to get engaged?
You know, I do. I don't know that I would like ever, whether it's Bachelor, Bachelorette, Paradise, right? Like throw an engagement on these people as early as like we always do and like say that it would work out super long term. But I certainly could see, based on the foundation that we've seen them build and just based on like, I think Riley is a really good guy, right? He like has his life together. He's very smart. To be honest with you, I was thinking the whole time when Marissa was talking about like, you know, he's not really opening up. He's kind of reserved. If you guys remember, we saw Riley get vulnerable on Tayshia's season after they had built their relationship and opened up about his story a little bit at least once before. So to me, I'm like, he's a very smart guy. I think he's very well spoken, and I had seen him be vulnerable, right? So I think Riley is someone who, when he takes steps in his relationship, when he gets to certain stages, he's all in, right? So it obviously didn't work out with Tayshia. She ended up sending him home, but Marissa just told him she's falling in love with him. So maybe they're going to be one of those couples that establishes a solid line of communication. The more, you know, steps they take in the relationship, the easier it will be for him to continue to open up. Drama aside, I know he's got like a bit of a moment coming up next week. I think that's just part of who he is. I think he's passionate and fiery. I don't think he's like the kind that's angry and like a petty, nasty, ooh, you don't want to be that guy's boyfriend kind of way, right? I think he's just like fiery and he gets riled up sometimes, but then he comes back down to earth.
Riley gets
Maybe
riled
I don't
up.
know.
That makes sense. Yeah, riled up Riley is what they call him. Passionate is a really good word. That definitely puts things lightly. But, I mean, there's no denying Marissa and Riley's connection, so they're definitely going the distance on the beach. What will happen after the beach? Well, we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens. But there is another couple on the beach that is Kenny and Mari. They are definitely one of the front-runner couples. And now that Demi is gone, the drama has left them, and they're really able to focus on their relationship. They had a one-on-one date this week where they ate tacos off of each other naked. And I feel like every date Kenny ends up on, he ends up naked. That's truly become his brand, being naked. And Mari's just like all about it. I mean, Gianna, would you ever eat tacos off of your man naked? I feel like it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually love this date because it was so crazy. Like you said, I think for some reason, I mean, maybe it's because Kenny came down naked day one, so now they just took it and roll with the nude stuff for him. But I love how Mari is so open. Like, she didn't really freak out about it. Like, you can tell that she's confident in herself and her body. And I felt empowered, like, just watching her. I mean, not to, like, take that route of the conversation, but, like, think about it. You have a million producers, PAs, camera people, grips looking at you while this is happening. And Mari's just like, yep, like, bring on the tacos. Like, I loved that for her. And, like, it was hot. Nobody can even tell me it wasn't. This date was hot. It was steamy. I was loving it. And I would do it. I would totally do it. And like tacos, it's so funny because last night was Taco Tuesday, so I had just finished eating tacos, and then I'm like, this reminded me of how single I am because I ate mine off of a plate and not somebody's body. So got a little upset. I'm kind of jealous. So I would be there. I loved every minute of it, and I also love them.
Aw, that's so cute. They're cute. I mean, the date was cringy, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it. But I mean, it's crazy because they also revealed that they are falling in love with each other. However, I kind of have the feeling that Mari is a little bit more into the relationship with Kenny. Now, Kenny did say he was falling in love with her back. He said that he never says that to people, only animals. The last person he said that he was falling in love with was his dog. So clearly, Kenny really means it. He's 40 years old. Is he ready to settle down? I don't know. I just feel like Mari's a little bit more into it. So I'm kind of worried about their relationship like after the show, but as regards to the show, I feel like they're like all in for each other. There is a sneak peek that we'll get to later where Kenny might be saying something, but you know how edited those sneak peeks are. Fiona, what is your, take on them falling in love? Do we think that they are going the distance?
I think that like I would be a lot more confident in endorsing like Riley and Marissa, Joe and Serena than I would be with Mari and Kenny, because at the end of the day, I think they definitely have a connection. They clearly have a spark. Obviously, they're attracted to each other. I don't know that I would want to lick sour cream off of anyone. Like, whipped cream is one thing, sour, right? Like, they found like
what is with this licking?
A person. They found a person that like definitely meets them where they are. They have a lot of fun together. That's great. But a lot of their time in paradise has been rocky. That's just the reality of it, right? Like Kenny went on a date with Tia, had, boom boom room night with Demi. Like he has not just been with Mari building a solid relationship, getting to know each other, putting in that work, like really deeply connecting, coming up with plans for the future. Like it doesn't mean that they won't or that they can't. They just don't have as many like solid logged relationship days as some of these other couples. So I think it could work out for them, but they wouldn't be my top pick for like definitely going the distance.
That's fair. We'll have to see what happens, but they definitely are a front runner because they did have that one-on-one date. They've been a solid couple, since Demi left. So we will have to see, and I want to continue on, but before we do that, I want to remind everyone that we have a Q&A coming at the end of the live. So if you have any questions, opinions, concerns, or comments, leave them in the question box right now. Comment down below or tweet us at Shared News, and we will definitely read them and get to them. But we have to talk about this tornado, or shall I say Tajnado. So Tajwan may have left the beach, but her spirit has been never forgotten because a Tajnado has took over the beach, causing everyone to pack their bags and get them out of the beach, maybe to a hotel or villa for safeties. And Tia was especially worried about if she was going to be alive or not. She was really concerned about her safety. Gianna, do we think Tia survived the Tajnado?
How could she have survived? I mean, it was so brutal. Like, they were really in a dangerous position. It's not like they had so many crew and vans and a hotel down the street for them to go in or anything. Obviously, she survived this tornado, hurricane, rain. I mean, really, it was a rainstorm. Like, come on, you're in Mexico. It happens. Get over it.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be somewhat serious for them to actually pack their bags. I wish that they brought the cameras to the hotel and just made it that kind of show. Because, like, I know this paradise location is so pretty, but it would have been so fun to see the hotel footage, especially because we know there's going to be some drama talked about next week. So I would have liked to see that. But poor Tia, I mean, she has been going through it. She's been caught in between a rock and a hard place, and all she ever wanted was for a guy to put an effort with her. This was the same story when she was on Paradise with Colton. It was the same story when she was on The Bachelor with Ari. All she wants is a guy to put the bare minimum effort for her, and the guy she likes, Daddy Blake with the tattoos, is just not giving it to her. But he is making her vagina dance, but he's not giving her the attention she deserves. Fiona, what do you make of Tia, really trying to make things work with Blake? Do we think he's actually not interested? Because I feel like he's saying he is, and then she's just like, no, you're not. Tell me more.
So I do think that he's interested. I don't think that he's known her for that long, and I don't think that it's his style to be super warm, fuzzy, romantic guy. Like, she kept describing him as a bad boy. I did see on her Instagram, funny enough, that she and him walked past Thomas and Becca right before this moment. And Thomas had all of these chicken nuggets for Becca. He had pictures of their dogs set up. He basically, like, did a grand gesture chicken nuggets aside, it was a gesture, right? And so that's kind of what led her to this place of being like, oh, look at how nice that is. And of course, now I can't remember exactly what she said Blake responded with, but it was essentially like, that stuff is dumb. That guy's just doing it for TV. And she's like, this isn't my first like time at the rodeo. Like, I want someone to bring me chicken nuggets on a plate. Like, that's a nice thing to do. It's like the guy who says like, oh, I don't like getting someone flowers are dumb, and his girlfriend's like, but I like flowers, so just get them, right? Like, I think that adding that context from her Instagram helps me sort of be on her side a little more in this moment, because the way it was edited did feel kind of abrupt. Like, here's this guy, he's said that he likes you are spending some time together, like, what was he supposed to do? So I don't know. I feel for James. I like Tia and James. I don't really know Blake. I don't have a dog in this fight, really, I guess. But I do understand where Tia was coming from.
I don't know. I feel like she's being a little harsh on him. But, I mean, I think her issue is that he's just not giving her the attention. But James is the one that's going out of his way to do sweet things to her, to give her time. But she did say that you can't force that spark. You can't force that connection. James just isn't making Tia's vagina dance, as she said that Blake is. So, Gianna, we got cut off. There was no rose ceremony. Who do we think Tia will ultimately give her rose to next week?
Oh, I keep thinking about this and I keep flip-flopping back and forth. I think ultimately it is going to be Blake because, as we said, she feels in her gut that they do have that spark. And I feel like after this, maybe we'll see a better conversation because I agree with Tia in the sense I don't think you can force a spark. Like, I am a firm believer, and if it's not there, it's just not there. Like, you really can't be forcing it. So I can't really see her giving her rose to James. And this conversation as a whole just made me think about love languages, and everyone has their own love language. Clearly Tia's is either gift giving or gift receiving, and everyone has their own love language. I mean, Fiona, I get your point of like, if she likes to get chicken nuggets or flowers, then freaking give them to her. Like, there's no reason to not. But again, I do think that these men are going out of their way for TV. And again, we have to remind ourselves a lot of the stuff we see is producer driven. So it's like, I mean, Blake took her on the one-on-one date. He said he likes her. They have chemistry. It's like, Tia, what more do you want? Like, it's a guy that literally likes you and he's already taken you on a date. It's like, do you want him to give you that ugly jewelry that was going around the beach like a couple of weeks ago? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I just don't. I think she really was overreacting, and I think that she's self-sabotaging in a sense.
I
think she's insecure.
Yeah, Tia.
Like, I think she's insecure because she also was talking about how in past relationships she goes for the bad guy and it doesn't work out. So I think she's painted them as Blake's the bad boy that she's attracted to, but somehow based on her past choices that she's insecure about, there must be something wrong. I kind of got that sense too. Again, I don't really know Tia. Like, Tia isn't someone that I feel like I know really well. So we'll see how this plays out. But I did feel like there was some insecurities creeping in. There was, of course, the spark versus no spark creeping in. It's going to be a bit of a wild card decision.
I mean, Tia has just always gone for unavailable men on this show. She's been on the show many times, 3 times. I like to joke more, but she's just always going for the unavailable men in whatever way that will be. And you can read between the lines in that one. So I think Tia's probably going to leave the show single. Obviously, if you saw on Instagram, there might have been some guy back in Nashville that she's dating. So if you want to check that out, it's possible she might have a boyfriend outside of the show. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if she just left the rose ceremony and was like, I'm over it. No one's doing it for me, and then that would result in James and Blake leaving because there's only 2 more episodes left. We know next week there's going to be a 3-hour episode, so it's like we need some of these people to go just so we can focus on the love stories. And like, what about Abigail and Noah? Are they still on the beach or did they leave? Gianna, I don't think I saw them. I haven't seen them in 3 episodes. Are they still there? Do you know?
I don't know. Are they? I think they left. I think they're engaged, and I think
sure.
they have a puppy in the house. Like, I don't know. We did see them for, I think, 0.2 seconds making out on a daybed or a pool. And I'm like, that's pretty much all we're seeing of them, I guess. And it's just funny because the whole debate with them weeks ago was, Abigail was saying, like, why are these other couples like making out and we're just kind of like floating? And now all we see are bits and pieces of them making out everywhere. So I'm like, they are working out their issues. I think they're so perfect that the producers are just like, or the editors are like, we just don't need to see this. It's boring, because they're just going on down the right track so well. So I'm happy for them. But again, are they on the beach? It's a mystery.
I mean, maybe they just didn't come back, who knows? But I mean, maybe they're just not going to end up together, or they're so perfect they are going to end up together. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them, because they're going to have to get airtime eventually. But after the Tajnado, Little John brought everyone back to the beach, because there is a first time in Bachelor history we have a day or afternoon rose ceremony, and Little John revealed that 4 guys are going to be going home. So a lot of guys are in the hot seat, and Ivan realized he was in trouble. His only options for a rose were really between Natasha, who seems to be, kind of up in the air with a few different guys. Chelsea is an option, and maybe even Tia, because she doesn't seem like James or Blake is really doing it for her. But Chelsea has been preoccupied with Aaron, who put on a runway show for her. And I mean, that was hot too. I kind of liked how Aaron's thoughtful and funny, but I mean, it ended up kind of backfiring, because Chelsea and Ivan had a conversation and they had a chance to form a connection. They ended up making out. And this is not the first time that a girl that Aaron liked made out in front of him. Right, Fiona? How many times has this happened to Aaron?
Poor Aaron. I mean, at least with Tammy. I'm trying to think about his whole journey. I mean, he and James have, there you go, Becca. He and James have had so many girls, like, be into them, and then they can't move fast enough, and somebody swoops in, and next thing you know, they're back to square one. But yeah, I was really impressed with Aaron. I thought that this connection so far has been the one that seems the most real to me. I think him and Chelsea have a great banter. I think Chelsea's really great. I think they were really cute together. She seemed genuinely happy with him. But even though we're super far into the season, we have to remember Chelsea's just been on the beach for 5 minutes? So she is still, I think, sort of in that exploring mindset. And it's tough because Ivan's a cool guy too. I think that if Ivan hadn't said the "I'm not trying to steal anyone's rose" line, or whatever he said to Aaron, things maybe wouldn't have gotten so heated by the end of the episode, because honestly, from that sentence to going and stealing Chelsea, it wasn't the best look we've seen Ivan had. He's a good guy, but this was a tough moment.
It wasn't. I mean, Ivan's been through it this season. He had everything happen with Jasenia. Then he had things happen with Kendall. He was kind of giving a rose to Deandra. I mean, Ivan has been through it, but he still is on the beach. He's still trying to make an attempt to find love. And him and Chelsea had an opportunity to make a connection, and they ended up making out, which literally no one saw coming. I mean, maybe we saw it coming because there was previews, but if there was no previews, no one saw that coming. And Aaron and James were shocked too. I mean, do you think that Ivan looks like a rose hunter, Gianna? Do you think he looks a little desperate and thirsty, or do you feel like he just wanted to give it one more chance with Chelsea?
Yeah, I think he looked really, really thirsty. Like, mix in a water, bro. Put down the wine glass. Like, he literally, we've only seen him be a sweetheart. We were kind of heartbroken when Jasenia left him in the dust. We wanted, like, justice for Ivan type of thing. And we saw him get curved by Kendall when he tried to kiss her. And she was like, no, I can't do this right now. And all we've ever felt was sympathy for him. And we've only wanted him the best. But this move that he pulled on Aaron, and like you said, Fiona, right before he did it, he was like, I don't want to steal anyone's rose. I'm not trying to get in the middle of anyone's relationship. Like, dude, you knew that Aaron and Chelsea were developing a relationship, and you saw him walking down the runway. Like, how dare you swoop in and start making out with her? Like, I don't care if they've had something in the past or not. She was clearly trying to build a relationship with Aaron, whether she was into it or not. Ivan should have respected that. I did not like that from him whatsoever. I think it looked very desperate on his part.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. If you're going to stay on that beach, these sides are going to come out of you. And Aaron got so frustrated with Ivan kissing Chelsea that he actually got compelled to get up in Ivan's face. And I mean, that is kind of where the cliffhanger led off. But they were in front of each other's faces, about to fight. I mean, Fiona, who do we think is going to win this fight? And who do you think should get Chelsea's rose at the end of the day?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, first of all, Aaron is like such a big guy. I hope they don't like actually get into a fight. I don't necessarily think that
Of course
Ivan like
not.
can hold his own, right? But like, I mean, I hope that they don't like truly get physical with each other. The thing is, I have to say, we didn't know Chelsea super well from Matt James this season. This whole shenanigan on the beach could end up being a major turnoff for her, right? If Aaron acts like too possessive, right? Super early on in the relationship, she might not love that. If Ivan and Aaron get really immature, like you just don't know how this is going to end up sitting with Chelsea, and she's the one that has the rose. It also could be super charming if Aaron goes over to Ivan and is like, no, like Chelsea and I have a good thing going. Like Chelsea is the person who I really need to know how all of this plays out in her eyes, right? Because Ivan and her had a connection for 5 minutes and this is where it landed her. I feel like she might be like, okay, whoa, this is all way too much. But yeah, I think that Aaron will probably get her rose, assuming he doesn't freak her out and overwhelm her in this fight with Ivan.
I kind of think that Ivan might get the rose just because she was like talking to Aaron and then like 2 seconds later she's holding hands with Ivan, making out with him. So I kind of feel like Ivan has her attention, but this wasn't a good look for Ivan, and this is just typical behavior for Aaron. You know, he's known for getting in people's faces. This is not the first altercation he had on Paradise. I mean, this is just Aaron's personality. We love Aaron. He's so funny. He makes the best memes. People make the best memes out of him, but he's also just ridiculous and immature at this point. But we need to talk about what's going to happen next week and where this is going to go. We're going to start looking at the clips for next week. We have quite a few to go through. We have predictions. So, I mean, I just can't wait to get into it. We're going to play our first one, and we will have to hear what we think, because next week is going to get crazy on the 3-hour finale, or next episode. So let's take a look.
Touch me, dog.
Leave. Wait.
It's a special 3-hour extravaganza.
You never know what could have developed during that
Why are you
conversation.
yelling?
I'm yelling because I feel like it. What's up?
Riley's getting in here. Gianna, let me ask you, are you going to be able to watch this for 3 hours next week? Do you have the attention span? What are you going to do to mentally prepare for it?
Well, I'll try not to be on my phone as much as I was from last night's episode. I think I'll have the attention span. I might need some snacks. I might need a cocktail. That will definitely help my attention span, because I can't even watch like a 2-hour movie at this point in life. And this is the one and only time that I think I'm grateful for commercials. I got my pee break. I got my snack break. I got my brain break from all this madness. This clip is cracking me up for some reason, for multiple reasons. First of all, Ivan looks like he has a smirk on his face, which like it just makes me laugh because Aaron is so mad and Ivan's just sitting there like ha ha ha. And then Riley, when you see him yelling, you actually see Thomas in the mix of all of this. So I'm like, is Thomas, like, you know, we got all of that beef that was happening weeks ago. Is Thomas now gonna take out his anger on Aaron that he had for him like way back a couple weeks ago? I'm very interested. I'm also just like, why is Riley yelling at Aaron? Like, Aaron didn't do anything. Like, why is he getting angry at him? That was 3 seconds and there's already so much happening. I can't imagine what's going to happen in 3 hours.
Well, I think Riley is just stepping in, because I think it's just getting ridiculous at this point with Aaron getting in everyone's faces. And if he has such a problem with Chelsea and Ivan making out, take it up with Chelsea. She's the one that you're pursuing. She's the one that is going to get your rose or whatever. So I think Riley's trying to break it up, and then I think that it kind of went left. I think Thomas is going to be the peacekeeper. He's like moved on. He's with Becca. Like, I don't think that he wants to get involved in any of this. But it's gonna be juicy. I mean, it's gonna be fun. I mean, Ivan poking, I think it's just like Ivan knowing that Aaron is so easily poked. So it's like fun to push people's buttons if you're like an instigator, like Aaron and myself. So, I mean, Ivan and myself. So it'll be fun. Let's take a look at the next clip, because we have quite a few to go through, because things are gonna get even more messy. Just you wait, guys.
Ivan, do you have anything to tell me?
And the drama is just getting started.
He said something happened at the hotel.
It shouldn't have gone around the system.
Fiona, what is going on here?
Well, here's the thing. Based on what we saw between Ivan and Chelsea, right? She was like, "Have you ever thought about me before?" Like, I don't know that something went on between the two of them at the hotel, because why would they have had that conversation then, right? So I'm like, did Ivan go out and meet some woman in the lobby? Like, did Ivan hang out with a producer? Are they sending more girls in? Did Ivan sneak off? Like, what did Ivan do at this hotel? Because the first thought I had was, oh, maybe he and Chelsea sort of met up at the hotel and they hit it off, and that's why he decided, kind of what seemed out of the blue with us, to shoot a shot with her on the beach. But that conversation they had, I guess it could have all been for show, but even that feels so dramatic and so convoluted. Like, they literally were having the, "I kind of think you're cute. I kind of think you're cute. Have you ever even talked to me, thought about me? Let's introduce ourselves," as the vibe I got from that daybed. So I don't know what Ivan did at the hotel, but he's literally been called to the principal's office here. Like, it feels very, very serious. And I think he's such a good guy overall that it's kind of bumming me out that right at the end of Paradise, it honestly feels like he's been sort of screwed over by the system. He's angry, he's lashing out, and all of a sudden he's going to leave Paradise in a huff, which is not how I hoped his story would play out. But I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I think if the principal office is Wells, the bartender, I think it's like not the scariest place as someone who's been to the principal's office many times in my life. But I'm just more interested because now it's nighttime. So we were doing a daytime afternoon rose ceremony. Did Wells pull Ivan aside after the rose ceremony and Ivan got the rose from Chelsea? Or do we think that this happened before the rose ceremony and he's going to get sent home? Because he's in trouble. Like, you don't just get a sit down. I mean, Aaron's still there. And I guess it's dark, so maybe I just answered my own question. Gianna, what do you think? Or Fiona, what do you think?
I'm confused.
I just think the cocktail party probably ran us into the night, right? Like they said, daytime. So daytime could have been late afternoon into early evening. They want the rose ceremony to still have that nighttime feel, maybe. It's all timeline here. But yeah, we see Aaron too. So I think no roses have been given out at this point. Mathematically, that wouldn't make sense, right?
Yes.
Right.
For sure. Okay, well, then let's take a look at our next clip because, I mean, I don't want Ivan to go home, but, like, we'll see. Let's take a look at the next clip. Maybe Ivan's in it.
You know, love makes you do, like, weird, crazy things.
Everybody's starting to realize that we are running.
Love makes you do crazy things. We see Noah and Abigail.
Who's
Ivan
he in
is
love with?
crying. That's the question. I mean, Gianna, do you think he's talking about Chelsea? Kendall? Maybe he caught Kendall. Maybe when they left,
speechless.
he caught Kendall at the airport.
Oh my God, so many theories we could just dive right into. Like, he sees Kendall leaving, he pulls her aside, and then Kendall finally accepts his love. No, I think that there may be someone in that hotel that he knew. Maybe they've hung out. Maybe they're another member from Bachelor Nation that we would have seen walking down the stairs the morning after that rose ceremony. Maybe they were going, again, maybe the producers brought whoever this mystery woman was on because they knew that Ivan and this woman maybe had a past, and then maybe when they evacuated to this hotel from the storm, he kind of ran into her and they did whatever they did. Or I don't think that he's talking about Chelsea, because I think that he would have laid it all out on the table after they made out. And like, clearly this has to be a serious thing and a serious mistake for him to literally break down in this interview as we're seeing right now. So whoever this woman is, she has to be somebody from Riley's past, or at least somebody that he knew, because otherwise why would he say love makes you do crazy things? Was he already in love and then maybe trying to get over it before he came here, and then the woman that he was trying to get over is here? Like, there are so many possibilities for this situation, and I'm so excited to see how this pans out now. And I'm also just so confused. My brain is just spinning right now over this.
I mean, bring back Jasenia. Maybe it's Jasenia. Maybe she's still in Mexico. But I will say that McKenna and Alea, they were brought on to the VIP date when Titus Burgess was hosting that date. And they never ended up coming on the beach. And I guess the guys came in this week. So maybe Alea and McKenna are just chilling at the hotel. This is why they should have brought the cameras to the hotel. Like, screw the system and the format. They should have just made it more reality show and just brought the cameras to the hotel. I mean, do we think that there could have been a connection between McKenna and Alea? How is Ivan going to sneak out of his hotel room when it's The Bachelor? Like, the producers are going to catch everything. Fiona?
That's the thing. I really don't know. I'm like, did he have an affair with a producer? Like, what happened at that hotel? Because it clearly wasn't Chelsea related. I feel like definitely confident that it just wouldn't make sense for it to have been Chelsea. So then we have to start going to all of the other possibilities. And I'm having a hard time with that line, like, love makes you do crazy things, because whatever he did at the hotel, he's not in love with anybody right now. So what did he do? Did he just, like, make out with somebody because they were hot? Like, that's not love, Ivan. Like, you made a mistake. You just need to own it, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of possibilities. Like, yeah, some of the McKenna, the Alea, maybe their flight out hadn't quite happened yet. You know, who knows? Maybe they booked their rooms for a certain amount of time. They got to just stay. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people that could have been floating around. I guess the theory that it could be another new woman at this point is maybe what drove him at the last minute to try to maybe nab a rose from Chelsea, because he was hoping whoever it was would walk through that door, and realized if they didn't, then he needed a rose to be there when they do. I mean, that was some out of left field behavior from him. So I wouldn't be surprised if, unfortunately, that's the crazy thing. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe he hit it off with someone at the hotel, acted crazy with Chelsea and Aaron to try to stay there. I don't know. I need a graph. I need a chart. I need to,
that could be it. It could be possible, because he really was trying to get a rose, but he also, like, went around the system. So maybe there was, like, you know, the cleaning lady at the hotel, like, someone in the lobby, like you said, a producer, a stage handler, you know, a local. I mean, there's so many options. We can debate about this all day. Next week is going to be crazy, but there's still so much more drama. So let's take a look at the next clip and see what other contestants are doing besides Ivan, because we don't know.
We want to make it work. We have to figure out how we're going to do that. It's not just going to happen.
Tensions are high, and literally anything can happen.
If Serena and Joe want to make it work, this is the time where they start talking about post-show life. Because Serena's in Canada, we know Joe is in Chicago. Gianna, what do we think? How is this conversation going to go?
Oof, I mean, it's hard because the whole thing about Joe and Kendall was the fact that she wouldn't move to Chicago. So I'm like, is Serena thinking the same thing? Like, maybe she also doesn't want to move to Chicago. Like, Joe, you got to meet in the middle at some point. So maybe it's if they even talk about where they'd live afterward. Or again, you know how these trailers, these previews are edited. They kind of take minuscule little sound bites and add that dramatic music. Like, maybe she was literally just saying, like, hey, we should probably start talking about after, because it's not just going to happen. And that was it. And then maybe they'll talk about it and it'll go great. Like, I don't think that they're having a falling out here necessarily, but the fact that they're having that conversation. And again, we have to remember that Serena is our age. Like, the fact that she's initiating these conversations instead of Joe initiating them just, like, cracks me up. And it just shows how mature and, like, ready for a real relationship she is. So I have faith in them. So I'm excited to see what they talk about, because is it going to be if she's moving to Chicago, or if, you know, what is it? I don't know, but I'm excited.
I mean, they're at the final few days of paradise, so they need to be having these conversations if they're going to end up together after the show. How is it going to work? So it'll be interesting to see how they, you know, get through it, and if she really does plan to move to Chicago. Because if she does, she could be the perfect girl for Joe. She could be everything that Kendall wasn't. But let's continue on. Let's take a look at this next clip to see what happens next.
Early on, like, it was, like, passionate. That's not there anymore.
Uh-oh. Fiona, do we think Kenny's gonna break up with Mari?
See, here's the thing. Like, I'm so curious, is he even talking about their relationship? Because, you know, they twist us around in these trailers, and I'm like, you're telling me things aren't passionate? You just ate tacos off of Mari's naked body. Like, what happened in 24 hours, Kenny? So, like, I don't know. I feel like if he is truly saying that to her about their relationship, he is probably starting to freak out about what the end of paradise means, and maybe he's scared to commit to the real world. Maybe logistics of where they both live and how this would actually work are starting to creep in, and so he's just putting up walls and coming up with excuses. But I don't know about you guys. If somebody ate a taco off my body and then said that they didn't think there was enough passion there, I would be like, what? Like, come on. It just doesn't feel fair. I don't know. We'll see.
This just goes back to my theory that Mari is more into him than he is into her. And even if the two of them leave the show together, I really do not think they will last in the real world for more than a few months. Like, I just don't see it. But they do edit conversations, like you said, Fiona. So maybe he's literally talking about, like, somebody else who the passion isn't there. Because they just have a way of editing things. But let's continue on. Let's take a look at this next clip. Because things are going to get even crazier.
Then in 2 weeks,
Paradise is essentially coming to a close.
it's the shocking finale.
It's time to ask yourselves some really important questions.
Okay, this is like where we get the real tea, because now they're giving us a teaser for 2 weeks to come. So this is basically everyone they show here, and if you got into this part of the live, you know you're going to get a little bit of spoilers because we have to dish about it. But whoever they show here has made it to the final episode, and Tia is still there, Ed is still there, and there's a few other people there. Dean and Kaylin are coming in. I guess they are Bachelor in Paradise royalty. They really are the modern day BIP because they didn't even get engaged. They're still not engaged. Okay, we have an engagement. I mean, there's so much going on. Gianna, what do you make about all this?
When this happened, I literally rewinded and paused at whoever's hand that was. I'm like, whose hand is holding the ring box? Like, I want to know. I'm already speculating. That's how psycho I'm being over this. But it's crazy. Like, how many engagements are we gonna get? That looks like Joe's hand. I'm gonna say it's Joe and Serena. I'm calling it right now. Oh, maybe.
No, I know who that is.
I see tattoos.
I know exactly who that is.
That's Kenny.
I also know who that is. Oh my goodness. So we have
clearly
a gold chain necklace and tattoos. So it's not Joe.
Tattoo.
So,
we warned you guys.
little
If you
bit
made
of
it to this
spoiler.
live, we warned you there would be some spoilers. We're checking out these teasers. That means
But
definitely
again,
looks
is it
like
a
Kenny.
spoiler?
It's a teaser.
It's a teaser.
I mean, there's a necklace, there's a tattoo, there's an engagement, and we can obviously tell by the skin tone who it could be because that kind of eliminates a lot of different people. So, I mean, it looks like Kenny is getting engaged, in my opinion. I mean, who else has tattoos? Could that be Blake and Tia, Fiona?
I'm pretty sure, and I feel like at this point when ABC puts it out there in a trailer, like, is it like this isn't like something we looked up on Reality Steve, you know what I mean? Like, I think they're kind of showing us that we don't know if Mari's saying yes, but assuming that that is Kenny and nobody else showed up with his chain, his bracelet, and his tattoos, looks like he is going to probably take a huge leap with Mari. Which, honestly, I kind of felt like that was coming for the two of them. Whether or not it lasts post-show is a different story. But I did kind of feel like he had the mindset of getting down on a knee at the end of this if he was with someone. I feel like he's kind of alluded to that. Not to change the subject here, but in this same clip, we saw Aaron sitting with Tia.
Yeah.
And we know that Tia is not super
Oh my
feeling
God.
Blake. And that she's not having the vagina dance for James. Her rose was kind of up in the air. So is there any world that Aaron and Ivan both stay? I'm like trying to figure out all the math we were doing before. Like, because we haven't seen Aaron yet, have we? Or sorry, we haven't seen Ivan yet, but we just saw Aaron. So he's at least going to make it somehow, some way to the finale.
I can't believe they are holding each other's hands like they are together. I'm not mad about this, like, at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if
That would be
Ivan
like the ultimate
left the
wild
show.
card.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's kind of weird because James and Aaron are like best friends, and James has been pursuing Tia. They're literally like next to each
so
other like
maybe
they're
then-
a couple.
No, I feel like he wouldn't do that to James. So then maybe that means that Chelsea does give it to Aaron and Tia. We still don't know. I don't know.
Let's take a look at the next clip.
Know that Aaron
let's keep watching.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the next clip and see if we can get more clues, because now I'm all invested.
We gotta like.
Bum, bum, bum. I know.
Who will get engaged?
I don't know if I'm making the right decision.
Who will go home brokenhearted?
I'm having this internal battle. I'm scared.
I don't want you.
Okay, a lot of people we saw in this last teaser, but now we're zooming in on Thomas crying and Becca. I mean, do we think that they're gonna break up, Gianna, Thomas and Becca?
Oh, I don't. It's crazy. This is like the first time we've seen Thomas emulate any emotion that wasn't just like, hi, I'm Thomas and I'm tall and I'm charming. So I'm like, is he crying because she broke his heart, or is he finally like not feeling a relationship? I feel like we've only seen him be secure in relationships. Like, we haven't seen him fight any of his own personal battles with himself. So I'm like, is he having a personal breakdown, or was it driven by something that Becca did or said? But at first, like, I really didn't like see them going far. I mean, they're still here, so clearly they're going far, but like, I don't see an engagement for the two of them at the end of this. So whatever they're fighting over or like crying over, I'm just not surprised. Yeah, I don't think that they're gonna end up together. So
Well, those are not happy tears. He's clearly devastated, but we can't ignore all of the social media activity between Becca and Thomas. Becca has been defending Thomas in multiple comments on Instagram when people have been coming for him. There's been the whole speculation that Thomas was in Becca's apartment when he filmed the Men Tell All because people recognized a blanket and a plant. So even if they do break up on the show, it's very possible that they could have gotten back together. They both live in the SoCal area. So I would not be surprised if they are still together. They could even be one of the couples that get engaged, because Becca has made it very well known on Instagram in the last week that she is defending and sticking by Thomas when people come for him. So, Fiona, what do you think is going to happen?
Honestly, I think that those might just be like ugly cries of emotion. Like, I genuinely feel like he may be the kind of guy that like acts so suave, but then like when he has to like have that really tough conversation about like, I want to take the next steps with you, like I feel like he might shed a tear, and maybe we're catching him in a moment where he like looks sad. But I forget what it is that he just said, but it was something like, I don't want to leave here. Like, I feel like he's maybe saying, like, I don't want to leave here without having everything on the table. Like, I'm really falling for you. Like, for some reason, I could really see him doing that. So, based on their little social media activity and based on how short this clip was and them making it all the way to the end, I think they're going to leave Paradise together. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off beat here, but I kind of think that they will.
Well, maybe you're 100% right, because they definitely are having something going on. So let's take a look at the next clip, because we have one or two more. So let's see. But also, we did see Joe before we play this last clip. We did see Grocery Store Joe in the wind. I think that Joe is going to get to the end with Serena, but I don't think that he is going to get engaged. Because I feel like everything with Kendall, everything with Joe, where he started the season, this is clearly Joe's hands. That's clearly his shirt. Do we think he will propose to Serena, Gianna?
Joe. I mean, I feel like Joe and Serena are one of, again, the realest couples that we have that are actually taking into account the fact that they pretty much just met. They haven't had any real conversations. They haven't like been anywhere else together other than this beach. So I think Joe is like, why would I get down on one knee when I could literally just pursue a relationship with her outside of this? I don't know though, because he's holding that ring. So like, I don't imagine him taking that box and just being like, never mind, actually, like, do you want to just go and like, we'll figure it out type of thing. So clearly this looks like he'd get down on one knee, but I can see why he wouldn't, if that makes sense. But I just do see them going far outside of Paradise. So again, I don't know. These always trip me up because I go down so many rabbit holes of theories and whatnot with these teasers, and they stress me out. But Joe looks stressed out in that clip. His face looks very uncertain. So I don't know if he'll be proposing right away, but I do know that they will
And just
make
because
it past the beach.
there is a ring, it doesn't mean he's proposing. Like, we've seen people contemplate with rings
Right.
in shots before and not actually get down on one knee. So it doesn't mean that he
True.
is definitely proposing, but him and Serena seem pretty solid. Even if they get engaged and they last over the show, I'm sure people have seen spoilers. I don't think that they will last more than a year together. And like, I really don't see them lasting in real life for more than a year. Maybe they'll ride out the wave. I'm just like not. I haven't been always been the biggest grocery store Joe fan. I'm not a hater. I just don't always see the authenticity that other people see. But that's an unpopular opinion. So we'll have to wait and see. That's just how I feel. So can we take a look at the next clip now? We have to see what else is gonna go down because you all know it's gonna get crazy.
I've been thinking over and over, this is something like we want to continue.
Now Marissa is crying. Everyone is just crying and crying. Do we think they're going to get engaged? Riley and Marissa, Fiona?
Well, he's saying, I've been thinking over and over, is this something that we want to or I want to continue? And then we see her crying. And I don't know what else she would be crying about.
It's a different shot, though.
And to me, like, it is a different shot. And to me, that doesn't. I know I'm like, Thomas looked like a sad crier, but it could have been happy cry. I don't know that, like, that kind of, like, moment is a happy cry. It seems very sad. So I feel like maybe what could happen here is she was sort of fairy tale, really wanted to get engaged. And Riley, I feel like he's very pragmatic. I think he does take things slow. So maybe this is after he has a conversation with her where he's basically like, I've been thinking about this a lot. Think, you know, maybe we could keep this going in the real world, but I don't want to get engaged, right? Like maybe it's somewhere in the middle and she's crying and she needs to process it, because I do really think they're strong, but I really feel like I don't see Riley getting down on one knee, which again, in the real world, you wouldn't probably be getting engaged this soon into a relationship. So I don't read too much into that as it like not being a good thing. It might not feel good to hear it. She might end up crying over it. Who knows?
I think she's crying after the overnight dates because we know that the final couples get an overnight date before the proposal. So this looks like she has a robe on and it's after the fantasy suites or the overnight. So that's why I think she's crying. I don't know what she will be crying about, but it's definitely in regards to that. Gianna, how do you think this will play out between them?
Again, I'm confused. I do think that they're gonna have some sort of falling out because, like you said, Fiona, these are not happy tears at all. And I hate to see her cry. She's so sweet, and I loved her throughout this entire season. So yeah, I think that with Riley's own personal issues of him kind of being guarded and hesitant, I think that those are going to kind of overcome his feelings for Marissa, where Marissa's kind of like gung-ho, let's go, and Riley's way more reserved in how he feels. So I think we're going to see that play out when it comes to a real life engagement. And ultimately, she's going to probably get her heart broken. I can't like see a conversation in which Riley would be like, hey, I don't want to get engaged, but like, let's work this out outside the beach. Like, I feel like Marissa's really like, no, like if not now, then never type of person. So I think they're going to break up, unfortunately. But I hope she finds love elsewhere.
That's a hot take, Gianna. That is a hot take. Well, we have one more final clip on what we can expect on the final finale, which is 2 weeks away. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll open it up to our Q&A.
Don't miss the shocking final 2 weeks of Bachelor in Paradise. It all continues next Tuesday night.
Okay, a lot is going down, and we have to open it up to our Q&A. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your comments, your questions, your opinions. So put in those questions right now. Put in those comments. Tweet us at Shared News, and we will definitely get to you. Now, this last clip, Gianna, we saw, it looked like Becca was chasing Thomas, which is giving me flashbacks to when Katie chased Andrew S. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. How could you like forget that moment? That was another thing that was in like all of the teasers for Katie's season, like her running after Andrew. So I again in this could be after they had that crying conversation. I can't imagine she'd be running after him before and then they'd have like I can't see a situation in which she'd be running and then they'd be back on the beach crying because this looks like an exit of some sort. Like it's definitely not on the beach. So I'm like, did they break up and she's running after him type of thing? Like exactly with Katie and Andrew. And she's like, what the hell did I just do? Or is Thomas leaving her and she's like, no, please don't leave me. It could go literally either way. But clearly something happened with the two of them that is not looking like it's leading to an engagement. Like something had to have gone down with the both of them. It's like, who knows what. But this clip is crazy because it's a lot of people and I feel like it's a lot of like side profile or like we can't really see their face or it's like from behind. And then we
Kenny's
see Kenny
packing too.
packing a bag. Like what? I mean, he could be packing for the overnight date, right? Like we can't think of this as a bad thing. But so much craziness. I feel like these teasers are just manipulation. And is that James? So
James
Tia
is still there. Noah and Abigail.
I mean, it's like, did Tia give her rose to James or like what is going on?
She
But
definitely
James
gave
doesn't
her
look
rose to
happy.
James.
Yeah, no one looks happy in this clip, period. So it's stressing me out. I feel very stressed right now, you guys.
Clearly. Serena's crying too. Her makeup is gonna literally fall off. I feel like James, like I can't even believe he's still there. I think Tia's gonna give her rose to James, and then like Aaron will somehow be there too. James needs to go home. What do you think's gonna happen with Noah and Abigail, Fiona? We really still don't see anything of them.
I don't know. I honestly wonder if they like don't get engaged and maybe that's why they haven't gotten a ton of screen time because they've been pretty happy and pretty solid this whole way through. And I feel like if they got engaged in 2 weeks, I would be like, what the heck? Why didn't I get to see any of that relationship? Like they're so in love, they're getting engaged. I've seen them like kiss 6 times. So maybe they just decide to leave the beach together. And I think that's a totally like valid thing to do. I know that you can get engaged in paradise. I just feel like I believe for whatever reason sometimes more in the couples who are like, we're going to go give this thing a real shot in the real world because it feels like you're just a little more rooted in the reality of it all than in the like fairy tale of it all. So if that's what happens for the two of them, I would be thrilled. I think that they're super cute and I hope that they end up happily together, happily ever after. I will take back slightly my previous maybe Thomas was just crying out of love thing because Becca running after him, that is messing with my whole head. All of these clips have my head spinning. Like truly, I have no idea what's coming next.
Yes, well, our first comment that came in, Jennifer, she says, Ivan is a rose chaser. I think it's rose chaser or rose hunter. Either way, I totally agree. I think Ivan was totally being a rose chaser, and we'll definitely find out why on next week's episode when he has the sit down with Wells. But rose chaser is just not a good look. Gianna, would you ever be a rose chaser if you were on the show? Would you do it for a check?
No, I am not going to stoop down to the level of Rose Chaser. I am not desperate. I'm the type of girl that knows what she wants. And like, if it's not there, I'll go home. Like, I am not going to be crying in that cab ride home whatsoever, unless I got my heart broken. But if no one was vibing with me, if I didn't have somebody, I'd be like, whatever, like take a shot and then get in the car. That's it.
Yes. Fiona, what is Sheila saying?
Sheila says Riley and Marissa are not going to get engaged. So I don't know where Sheila's getting her info, but I have to say, if they leave the beach together, I don't think it will be engaged. I agree with Sheila. I think that Riley is just, he's made it clear that he has to take things slow. That's how he does things. So if the best case scenario for those two is that they're leaving to see where the relationship takes them, worst case scenario is it all falls apart. Only time will tell.
Yeah, and you don't have to get engaged on Bachelor in Paradise. I mean, Joe and Kendall didn't get engaged, and they made it all the way to the end together. Usually we like to see an engagement. We're definitely going to be seeing a couple of engagements by the teaser, but you don't have to. Gianna, what is Yvonne saying?
Yvonne is saying, I would think Becca and Thomas leave together but not engaged. Yvonne, I would agree, other than the fact that if they actually were going to leave together, I don't think Becca would be chasing after Thomas unless, he was walking way faster out of that place
Maybe
than
he
she
forgot
was. But
something.
maybe she's like, Thomas, you forgot your toothbrush type of thing. Again, they could just make something out of nothing in these trailers always, but I don't think they're leaving together, and I don't think they're getting engaged. Like, I think they have a falling out. But again, the fact that she's running, giving him a hug, I think they're on good terms, just not necessarily leaving together. But I don't know. Zach, do you agree? I don't know about this one.
I definitely think they're on good terms. I mean, Becca, like I mentioned earlier, she has been, defending him on Instagram multiple times, even in the last week, which is, you have to get like producer permission for everything. So I would not be surprised if maybe they leave together separately and find each other after. That is a possibility. Jennifer says, I hope Joe doesn't propose to Serena. I don't like them together. Honestly, like I've been holding back. Me neither. Like, I really, like, sometimes I'm just like, whatever, like, they seem cute and they're authentic, but like, I am not a fan of Joe or Serena personally. Like, it's not that I don't like either of them, but I've never been a fan of either of them on their seasons together. It's just like, my power couple is Abigail and Noah, and they're not getting any airtime. They're not getting any storyline, and I wish that Abigail and Noah had that season where everything was about them, because I was like really hoping that they were going to be my favorite couple, and they just don't get us the airtime. Jennifer also says, Serena said she would move to the East Coast. Maybe Serena will move to New York City, which is where all of the girls from Matt James's season have moved. And maybe Joe would move there too. I mean, Fiona, is there ever an opportunity? Do you think Joe would move out of Chicago for Serena? Is there a happy medium? It's compromised. You got to make things work.
Well, here's the thing. We already know, right, that Joe, when he was with Kendall, he moved to California for Kendall, and they spent time in their relationship together happily in California. But he didn't want to live in California long term, right? So then it was sort of her turn, is the way I feel like we could boil it down to, right? It was like, I gave California a shot for a while. Now I'd like you to give Chicago a shot. And she would not. And then it gets to the point of like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be happy long term in California, and you won't even try moving, then what are we doing, right? So I feel like every relationship has to start at the same starting point. So if Joe and Serena, need to make it work in New York or in fill in the blank state that they could both, easily make work for now, I think he would do it. I do just think that whether or not down the line that person is willing to make the same sacrifice, that's where it becomes a real relationship deal breaker. And they're just not at the deal breaker stage yet. I don't think, really, to be honest with you. So I don't think Serena not moving to Chicago today will be the end-all be-all for them, because it wasn't in the early days of the relationship with Kendall. Serena should get the same grace, the same time. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, we'll see.
And if Serena wasn't like open to moving, she should have never even went on Bachelor in Paradise USA to begin with, because there is a Bachelor in Paradise Canada. So clearly she's at least open to finding love and moving, unless we just have so much more viewers and fame that could come out of Bachelor in Paradise USA, and that's why she wanted to come on this version. Otherwise, like, she's at least open to moving. And I hope that Joe is willing to meet her halfway, because they definitely have something good going on, whether I'm a super fan of the relationship or not. They clearly have an authentic connection. So time will tell. What is Priya saying, Gianna?
Priya is saying, I honestly would agree until I saw how well Serena handled this situation. She isn't playing games the way Kendall did during their season. She's actually supporting him. Priya, I agree with you 1,000%. I know Zachary may not, but I really do agree. I think Serena, I keep saying this, is really mature for her age, and like, she is not playing around. Like, everything she said has been clear cut. Even in the beginning of the relationship, like, she was the one initiating things with Joe, and I really think that she's a good match for Joe rather than Kendall, who never knew what she wanted and was just up in the air with everything, and she was flaky and like you could never tell where she was at. And I think that Joe needs somebody like Serena in her life. So I am so team Joe and Serena. I mean, Fiona, do you agree with Zach or me? Like, where are you at with them?
I like Joe and Serena. I've been totally charmed by Joe. I think it's funny, Zach, that you are like suspect of his authenticity, because that's kind of what I like about him. I feel like he's like a genuinely good guy. Kind of gives dad vibes, like, you know, like he's just on the beach doing his thing. So I like Joe. I don't think that they have the flashiest relationship, right? Like even Noah and Abigail too. Like people that I really love their relationship this year, I find like they trend a little boring. So I get that they're maybe not like the most entertaining, crazy, hilarious couple, but I like them. I trust their connection. And I have to say, I do think we can't overlook the fact that his ex, who he had a very deep relationship with, that clearly ended emotionally with sort of like the we still care about each other, but circumstances are never going to change, so we have to cut it off thing. Fact that she was literally on the beach and he was able to still reassure Serena, build this connection, delicately handle things with Kendall. That's a tricky dance. So they navigated that pretty well. And I think that the real world might be easy compared to what they've had to deal with on the beach, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. These visas seem difficult. Katie and Blake are kind of going through that similar thing. So
True.
I think they have challenges ahead. And, you know, leave me on this island by myself, you know, not being a Joe and Serena stan. I will gladly stay on that island. But, yeah, I'm sure that they'll, you know, try to make things work because they're into each other. There's no denying that. Natalie says, I do think Thomas and Becca are together. I did see a video of them at a birthday party last weekend. Well, spoiler kind of alert. People get really sensitive about spoilers in Bachelor Nation, so we try and dance around them here because we don't want to give anything away. But now that it is on our screen, I saw that same video, girl, and I think that Becca was at Thomas's niece party or something, so I think Becca and Thomas are totally together, but I do think they're going to leave the beach separately and then find their way back to each other. I mean, it's kind of easier, I think, to find your way back to certain people because when they live in the same area, like Thomas and Becca are both in Southern California. Like someone like Joe and Serena, they're going to have to put in a lot more work if they want to stay together because they're in different countries versus meeting up with someone who's literally like an hour away from you. So that's just like, it's just easier. So, I mean, what are your final predictions, Fiona, for next week and the finale? I mean, final predictions, this is going to happen. These people are getting engaged. No wishy-washy.
You're killing me. I don't know. Those trailer clips, like, I feel like every teaser we try to be detectives and do our best, but that one has really thrown me for a loop. I think looking at all of the cards, every angle we discussed, I do think Ivan is going to get in trouble with Wells and potentially get the boot or not get a rose. I think Chelsea is going to trust her gut and stay with Aaron. I think Tia is going to be too nervous about Blake for whatever the reason and give James a lifesaver. I think Kenny and Mari are going to get engaged. I think that... Can that be it? I don't know if I have any more solid...
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I don't know if I have any more solid predictions.
Those are enough, Fiona. You literally just gave like 10 predictions. I think you killed it. You killed it. Gianna,
Thank you. That's
final
all I've got.
predictions
I'm out.
set in stone. You're out. Gianna, final thoughts.
It's hard because I just agree with everything that Fiona said. Like, if you were to ask me that, I would have said all the same things. Like, Ivan is definitely getting the boot. He's getting in trouble. Aaron's clearly staying because we saw him in that clip. It would be funny and it would be such a plot twist if, like, Tia somehow ended up with Aaron, but I don't see it really happening. Like, they're engaged. They're the only couple that gets engaged and they live happily ever after. But yeah, Kenny and Mari are definitely getting engaged. Thomas and Becca are having some sort of falling out. Riley and why am I getting names confused now? Marissa, my favorite girl ever. They're going to have a really bad fight as well. So can't wait for the drama per usual. 3 hours. Great.
Yes. Well, I think that Kendall's going to come back. I think she's going to propose to Joe. I think Serena's going to cry, leave the show, And then I think Ivan is going to come back to and get engaged to Tia. And then I think Aaron is going to get engaged to Becca. And it's going to be a huge, huge plot twist. So you guys are going to have to let us know what you think in the comments down below. I'm sure my opinions are absolutely correct. No, I'm totally just kidding. I think we all kind of know what's going to happen at this point. The spoilers are all over the internet. Yes. So you guys are going to have to let us know. Comment down below what you guys think. Subscribe and ring the bell because we'll be back with more Bachelor in Paradise Chi. Next week is 3 hours, so I hope you guys will be able to bear through the episode, and we will definitely recap it. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined today by Fiona Zaring and Gianna Gravalisi. Follow us down below. Come talk all things Bachelor with us. We love talking to you guys. So much fun. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye.